Hello, Cancer, and welcome to Indigo Rising Tarot. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I hope you're having a great day. This will be your weekly reading for the week of February 8th through the 14th. And during that time, we have a few different moon energies. We first have the waning gibbous for the first couple of days, and that's a good time for self-reflection and rebirth, a good time to get rid of our negative thinking. We then move into that last quarter moon, and that is a time when we kind of start wrapping up those things that we started during the new moon, those projects and things. We start to reflect inward, look around, make sure that we're finishing things up, and we're going to start just getting rid of the negativity and thinking about things that we're going to change, which comes with the waning crescent. And that's a time of just self-reflection and where we really learn, where have we been for the last few weeks? Where are we going for the next few weeks? And we will start to make those changes on the next new moon that comes in. So keep those moon energies in mind. There's a lot of change in that this week. So this will be an intuitive general reading for energies that you may or may not encounter, Cancer. So, as always, please take what resonates and leave what doesn't for someone else. And your overall message for this reading is to show the world the real you. All right, let's see what the Cancer Collective has going on for the week. As I'm shuffling the tarot cards, I would like to say that my fun weekly reminder this week is that you take time to meditate, not just this week, but every week, if you can. But try to find time, even if it's 5 or 10 minutes a day, or if you can take a little bit more time, a good hour, half an hour here and there. And if you have trouble quieting down like that, I mean, my house can be a little noisy. I throw on some headphones and use a guided meditation many times, and that's very relaxing. So just try to take that time to do some sort of meditation this week, especially with those moon energies going on. It's a good week for that. So, all right, let's get into this reading. Cancer, February 8th through the 14th. Show the world the real you. And your overall present energy with this card that wants to come flying out is the Queen of Wands. So, is the real you someone that really has an understanding of their own passions, of the things that drive them? You've really just taken the time to understand, this is why I really love to do this thing. This is this thing that gets me up in the morning, that really lights my fire. And I have a good grasp and a good understanding on it. That seems to be your present energy right now. And that's a great energy. I mean, we all like to be around that person who's just very motivated, knows what they want. I find that to just be exhilarating. So that's the energy that you're sitting in this week, which is awesome. Your current situation is the King of Cups. So not only do you understand your passions and you understand what really drives you, but you're also very knowledgeable about emotional things. So not only with yourself, but anytime with both of these, any royalty cards that come out like this, I feel like it's your knowledge and understanding of that suit, but it's also the understanding of the people that are around you. So not only do you understand your own emotions, but if someone around you is having an emotional reaction to something, you completely understand it. You have the wisdom to for whatever's going on to really understand that entire situation there. At the root of this week is the Nine of Swords, which might have you feeling a little bit anxious. There might be something going on, some sort of change that's coming about. But again, you're sitting in this King of Cups energy. So even if you're anxious about it, you know what to do about it. You know how to handle that emotion. You know how to dissipate that anxiety. So I don't feel like that's going to last for long because of these other energies that you're sitting in. It might be there. A little twinge of that comes in where you're a little nervous about something. Maybe it's just anticipating something, but you know how to manage it. So I think that's okay. What is in your recent past is a Tower. So yeah, there might be something that you're managing that maybe a little bit of that anxiety from it's creeping in, just the memory of it. This could be anything from a fender bender to is something catastrophic that you were dealing with last week or in the recent past. And yeah, a little twinge of that will creep in. Even if you're just in a fender bender, you might, you relax and all of a sudden you just remember that sound of that crash, or you have that memory, and it does you kind of relive it and bring up that anxiety again. But remember, with this King of Cups, you have the knowledge to know how to manage that and how to deal with it. And again, if you don't, meditation might be a way to kind of dissipate that a little bit, to try to alchemize that. You're really just trying to whatever it is that you've been dealing with, you have to just learn how to manage it. But I feel like you have the skills to do so. What is on your mind this week is the Knight of Cups. So moving forward in a way that is just very open emotionally, you know. So not only do you have the understanding, but you're able to, you know, offer that guidance to people around you, to just be that shoulder for others, you know, to maybe you know, maybe helping someone else work through something helps you also to work through your own anxiety about maybe this tower situation that has come up. Sometimes you know, sometimes we learn best by being the example, but also by reiterating the things that we know. And it reminds us to apply that in our own life, to apply, you know, how many times have you given someone advice about, you know, don't beat yourself up when we're already beating ourselves up over something. So make sure you're just taking your own advice this week. What is just ahead of you this week is the 10 of Pentacles. So there may be some sort of financial thing that is maybe coming out of the situation with that tower. Could be, so there might just be something where you're dealing with, you know, wealth security, that sort of thing, or at least it's on your mind. You know, maybe you're thinking, you know, maybe something happened where you wish you had more insurance. You know, it could be that, and you're learning that lesson. Maybe or maybe everything's just fine there and money's just coming in. So could be either of those things really, but it's something as you're moving forward, you're dealing with some pentacles and some money issues this week. So let's see. And your advice position is to go ahead and get back to work here with the 8 of Pentacles. So, you know, whatever it is, maybe work through it, you know, but definitely, you know, use work as a way to kind of manage that. And sometimes that can be an anxiety reliever too. Sometimes just, you know, again, you're alone in your bed at night and it's able to creep in. But if you're busy at work and focusing on something that you are obviously very passionate about, it's very hard for that anxiety to creep in on you. What is beyond your control this week is the 5 of Wands. So some sort of debate about something, and it could be about this, how this tower has affected you. It could be something that is causing you this anxiety. So, but you know, anytime you have a 5 of Wands like this, I think to remind you to hold your ground. You know, we all have our opinions and our ways of doing things. Hold your ground, but also be very opening to listening to others and make sure that you're not missing something if there's something in there that you need to be learning from someone else also. What is your secret desire, or what are you trying to avoid? Is the 7 of Pentacles. So we have lots of pentacles showing up here all of a sudden. The 7 is about there's really nothing you can do until your harvest comes in. Seeds are planted, you're waiting on things. So this could be you, you know, kind of you've done the work, you're kind of waiting on some money or something to come in, something that you've, you know, planted the seeds with. And it doesn't necessarily have to be money, it could be just something in the material realm. And again, it could be related to this tower. For some reason, insurance is coming up that maybe you're kind of waiting for something so that you can wrap it up, and that might also quell this anxiety. But there's really, you know, is this your secret desire to wait? Probably not. Are you trying to avoid waiting? Probably. But sometimes we're just kind of stuck and at other people's mercy, especially when it comes to working out the situations like that that involve insurance or things like that. In your outcome position is the 4 of Pentacles. So, and the outcome is you're stable, you're fine. There's nothing to really be too worried about. Again, things are moving, things have happened, you're having to manage them. But show the world the real you. And what is the real you is being calm and stable and knowing that you can, you know, you can manage that. You know, the fours are about you know, just being secure, just being in that stability mindset. And if that's the real world, that's just what you need to show. I mean, I feel like all the cancers I've ever known are very stable in that way, and they just kind of manage things and move right along. So I think that's, you know, really where you're going to end up at the end of the week. What is hidden from you this week is rest and meditation, which is what my advice is for you, is to maybe take that time. You know, that's kind of hidden from you this week. So maybe that message is extra strong for you to maybe, you know, you work on quelling this anxiety by doing a little bit of rest, a little bit of meditation, you know, get your mind focused on what's really important to you, and also to alchemize whatever this tower was. You know, it's over, it's in the past now. You know, you might again have to think about steps that you might want to do differently to manage something like that differently. That's how we learn and grow. You know, you can do those things, but don't let it really get to you and keep you up at night. So, all right, let's get a final message here from the Soul Oracle deck. Final words here for Cancer. Admit your vulnerabilities. All right, this could be that that could be what that anxiety card is kind of in the process of realizing those vulnerabilities and just make those changes. Again, that's how we learn and grow. Let's see what you need to do in the way of self-care. Self-care for Cancer this week as they deal with the aftermath of something. It really feels like that for you this week. All right, self-care. The card that you get is the card that says possibility. Focus your attention on what could go right. When you learn to imagine the best case scenario, you get to enjoy the experience twice. So, wow, talk about being an optimist. Yeah, when you learn to imagine the best case scenario, you get to enjoy an experience twice. That's just manifesting the best that you can for yourself. Again, if you need to admit vulnerabilities and manage this, I mean, if you look at this side, everything starts to get positive here, but you've got this anxiety and kind of this leftover. And I understand it's the stress of having to deal with the tower. I mean, towers are about, disruptions and things that happen but there are also ways for us to learn. It is harder. The closer you are to it, it's harder to realize that, but the further you step out from it, you do. Admitting your vulnerabilities might be a thing. Like I said, if this is insurance thing and you're like, I should have had better insurance or should have done things a little differently, then maybe that's something that you are just going to have to learn this week. But remember to try to manifest the positive things and get yourself out of that anxiety mindset. So, Cancer, thank you so much for being here. I do hope there was something in this reading that you can take away and use in a positive way in your life this week. If you're comfortable sharing, let me know what tower did you have last week coming into this week that was a big disruption, and are you learning through it? We'd be happy to hear and see those comments. So let me know on that. Also, if you like my reading style, hitting like and subscribe is how you find me next week, and I think that's a pretty cool thing. So thanks again for being here, Cancer. Happy Valentine's Day, and I will see you next week. Bye bye.